The Bison are going to Vegas. Much more on NDSU's game with Montana State. Plus, they're not going alone. South Dakota State is going. Athletic Director Justin Sell will join us about that. A busy Hot Mic starts now.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Izzo.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to the I Guess Everything Happens in Vegas edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning, everybody in Sioux Falls. KNBN in Rapid City and Inforum.com. Happy Tuesday, everybody. August the 19th. Happy first day of school for some of you out there. Yeah, I know, it's back. That merely means the fall is here and more coming the rest of the week. We're still a little bit of ways from first day of school in the Minnesota side of things. I believe it's 2 weeks from today that Jack Mann has his first day of school. So full warning now, tears again coming. It's first day of first grade. This is a big one coming up here in 2 weeks' time. But for everybody on the first day, good luck. Have a great school year. And welcome to our show on a busy Tuesday. We knew something was coming. I'm going to tell you right now, I had gotten wind of the news that broke yesterday, the big one, not the uniform stuff, which it was total sidetracked our show yesterday. I'm talking about the Bison football game in Las Vegas. I had gotten wind of this about a week and a half ago, that there was something in the mix for the 2027 football season. And obviously we got the announcement yesterday. I didn't know the other part, meaning that there's another game that's going to be played out there in 2029, which will give you the full download here in a minute. It's just, I want to appreciate here for those of us of a certain age, and I would say it's my age bracket, that's the only one I can speak of, that there was a time that gambling, anything point spread wise, that was persona non grata on anything related to sports. Anything. We sit here this morning that the NCAA hockey championship this year, this April, will be played in Las Vegas. The following year, college football's national championship game will be played in Las Vegas. The year after that, college basketball's Final Four will be played in Las Vegas. That's 3 collegiate championships being played where gambling is not only welcomed, encouraged, you can't miss it. If you would have told anybody that even 10 years ago, because Vegas's hockey team got there in 17, so we're not even 10 years into the Golden Knights having like professional sports being rooted in Vegas. I don't know if anybody believed that. And yet that is the next 3 years, there is going to be the collegiate championships there. On top of the fact the Super Bowl has already gone there, and they're going to go back. It was a huge success just 2 years ago when the Chiefs and 49ers played. Everybody loved it, and they'll get a Super Bowl. They'll get 4 Super Bowls before Minneapolis will even sniff another one. There's no doubt on that. It's just, maybe it's the old man in me that is shake your head at it, that has become the place to go. And we were there. We were fortunate enough to take the show to Vegas last year for Big 12 Media Days, so we got just a sniff of it. But we were at Allegiant Stadium, and I'll give my own 2 cents on it here in a minute, that the fact that every sports entity wants in on Las Vegas. Everybody. The fact that we've lamented this, that baseball is bringing the Athletics there in 2028. Basketball is going to expand whenever the NBA decides to open up its doors to expand to Seattle and Las Vegas. They will be there. And that's on top of, obviously, what's happening with football and hockey already being there. Vegas is the spot to be. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But professional golf has been played out there forever, right? I mean, the Golden Knights are a thing unto itself, but USA Basketball has have its routine. Just you can go down the list of things that are routinely happening out there. They have a college football bowl game. They've had college football season openers out there. This isn't new. Last year, our guy Matt Entz was his first game at USC was at Allegiant Stadium. And they had a record crowd. I think they had 66,000 for that game there. I mean, it's a big, big deal. So the fact that now, and this is a combo deal from what I understand it, that ESPN was involved in this, ESPN Events, who puts on, if you're one of the sickos, I use that word, that watches all the bowl games like myself between Christmas and New Year's, they're the ones who put on the games. And they're putting on this as well. They put on the Las Vegas Bowl, and they put on these preseason, quote-unquote, classics. And they're the organizers who went to these 4 schools, and the 4 schools were a joint effort here. North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Montana State, and Montana. You need to recognize who was involved here. The powers that be looked and said, well, okay, these are the teams that have dominated the division over the better part of the last decade. Bison are going on 2 decades of it. That maybe we should have them involved in some sort of season opening kickoff. And that's exactly what took place here. So that's a little bit of the background on it. The foreground is this. The Bison will play Montana State in Las Vegas over Labor Day weekend in 2027. And the game will be either a Thursday or a Friday. Why I say that, I'll go into the exact release we got from ESPN yesterday. And I think this is important to note on this because of the people were asking me of the game. Because Miami and Utah already scheduled a game for that same weekend, the Vegas Kickoff Classic, the first Battle of the U's is how they dubbed it, University of Miami and the University of Utah, which will be well attended. That game will take place on Saturday, September the 4th, 2027. This is the exact wording from the ESPN release. 2 Vegas Kickoff Classic games will now be contested during Labor Day weekend in 2027. A historic first-time matchup of Miami versus Utah, billed as the Battle of the U, was previously announced and will take place on Saturday, September the 4th. That game will now be preceded by another neutral site matchup earlier that weekend when 18-time national champion North Dakota State meets 3-time national champion Montana State in Las Vegas. So if you're starting to plan today or was doing it last night, I would block out Thursday, September 2nd and Friday, September 3rd. The game is going to be played one of those 2 days. And then, you've got the rest of the weekend. You got Saturday, Sunday, Monday's Labor Day, and then back to reality after that. That's what they're hoping to do. They're hoping to get you there and then keep you there. We can talk about the amount of tourist dollars that are decreasing in Vegas probably another time, but it's not pretty right now. So, because I have plenty of questions about, when's the game going to be? It's either going to be Thursday or Friday, and it's going to be nationally televised. ESPN or ESPN2 is going to pick up this game. I can tell you that right now. That's it. ESPN is organizing it. They're not going to put it on you. It's not going to be on the SEC network. It's not going to be on ESPN News. It's going to be on one of the 2 big ones. That's a big deal. You're going to hear from athletic director of North Dakota State, Matt Larsen, in our next segment. to give us the lowdown on how it all came about. But that is the deal. Now, also part of it, South Dakota State and Montana will be playing at Allegiant Stadium. That game will be over Labor Day weekend of 2029. Rematch of the 2024 FCS championship game that the Jackrabbits beat the Grizz in Frisco, and will be well attended. I would believe so. I would honestly, because I got asked this immediately. Well, okay, because we, the the FCS national folks who think, well, the Bison fans, they think they can sell it out. Well, it's a 65,000 seat stadium. It's big. It's not my favorite of the new ones. U.S. Bank is number one. U.S. Bank Stadium is tremendous. And I'm not saying that because we got to call a game there, which was pretty darn cool. I just think it's really cool. Allegiant's up there. The fact it's natural grass is interesting. But to the fan part of this, could NDSU get 20,000 fans there? I think so. With the amount of buildup for it. And I know you're going to say, well, you talked about this before with the lead up to the game at U.S. Bank Stadium. And obviously that fizzled. But I think it was, what do we have, 23,000 that were there? I think maybe it was a been there, done that kind of deal after the game at Target Field in 2019, which is fine. I don't think we're going to have a ton of people in Nashville. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Opponent goes a long way as well. Because I think Eastern Washington wasn't humming at that particular time for the game at U.S. Bank Stadium. For the game in Nashville this year, if they get 10,000, I think they consider themselves, all right, that was pretty darn good. In a 60,000-seat stadium at Nissan Stadium in Nashville here in a few weeks. This game, with the opponent, and who's to say who's going to be there? Eric was making the graphic yesterday, and it's a total crap. We have no idea. We have no 2027. If either coach is still there, I would be surprised. Let's just say it right now. If Polisic or Brent Vegan are still at the job, you could knock me over with a feather on that one. I would not believe that. But Montana State's not going to drop off a cliff. The Bison aren't going to. That you figure both teams, as long as they're still in FCS, which is a whole other deal we can get into, they're going to be pretty darn good. That Montana State, for people that went to Frisco last year, that was their team. They packed the place in Frisco. There were Cats fans ever. Could they bring 20,000? Yes. So could you have 40,000 people this game? Absolutely. And 40,000 for an FCS game in Las Vegas? That's a win. I don't care if there's 20,000 empty seats. That's a win for an FCS game. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind on that. That you could get that kind of crowd, sign me up. Let's go. And already the reaction I got yesterday from both Jackrabbit fans and Bison fans were, we've been waiting for a game like this for the longest time. Been waiting to go to Vegas for a game. We had heard about, because I first reported about it in 2021, that NDSU was flirting with more destination games. The Dallas was out there. Vegas was out there. I think Phoenix at a time they were talking about it. And then the Nashville game. And again, I'm really interested to see what the crowd is like in a couple of weeks' time when we're down in Nashville. But this one has been like the white whale, the one that's been waiting out there that they wanted to get. And now they got it. And we'll see what happens with it. Much more on that. Both of those games, we're really pumped. We got both athletic directors from NDSU and SDSU on our show today, so we're pretty pumped about that. All right, I wanted to get into this, and I don't have a ton of time, so we'll rip the Band-Aid off now, and then I'll save the rest for later. But we talked about it yesterday on the show, and I got a bunch of response on it because I appreciate the baseball rubes that watch and listen to the show. If you missed the Sunday night game between the Mariners and the Mets, the commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred, was on with Carl Ravitch, Eduardo Perez, and David Cohn. We're going to play a snippet here of David Cohn asking the commissioner an open-ended question, and the commissioner was ready to answer. Here's the clip.
How about a window into the future? Expansion, realignment, expanded playoffs? I mean,
Yeah.
can you see that down the road?
I can. I think that I think the first two topics are related in my mind. I think if we expand, it provides us with an opportunity to geographically realign. I think we could save a lot of wear and tear on our players in terms of travel. And I think our postseason format would be even more appealing for, entities like ESPN, because you'd be playing up out of the East, out of the West, and that 10 o'clock time slot where we, sometimes get Boston, Anaheim, would be two West Coast teams. And that 10 o'clock slot that's a problem for us sometimes becomes a real opportunity for our West Coast audience. So I think, I think the owners realize that there's demand for Major League Baseball in a lot of great cities.
Okay. Before we get to that, Eric, let me give one thing on it, because the expansion part of this is interesting, because we've been sitting on this for 30 years. We have not expanded 40 years now. By the time Manfred is done, is 2029. We expanded in 1998. Not great at math. That's 40 years. We're not going to have anything going there in terms of expansion. Talking from the beginning, from 1978 to actually it's 50, from 78 to 2029, it's 50. So we have added, in that time frame, we'll have added 4 baseball teams. The Rockies, the Marlins, the Diamondbacks, and the Rays. That's it. When every other sport has mushroomed in that same time frame. And now, not only are we going to expand, what we're going to do then is blow it up, get rid of the leagues, and go east-west. Because he's talking about there at the end of that soundbite about, Angels-Dodgers games where nobody pays attention to Shohei Ohtani because he plays on the West Coast and everybody on the East Coast is in bed by 11 o'clock when the games start. And this is what he's hoping to do. Now, everybody has had their own thoughts on expanding and then realigning. Jim Bowden, who's the former general manager of the Cincinnati Reds and I believe the Nationals, he threw one out 2 years ago. And now it recircled after these comments from Manfred on Sunday night. This is part of it, where you have an Eastern Division. I hate it already. Red Sox, Mets, Yankees, Phillies. Those are the 4 of the 5 most expensive teams in baseball. I mean, that is murderer's row. The North would be the Reds, the Guardians, the Tigers, and the Blue Jays. Mid-Atlantic has Baltimore. There's a team coming to Charlotte. I think we're all on board on that. The Pirates and the Nationals. The Southeast would feature Atlanta, Miami, a Nashville team, and Tampa. That's half. That's the quote-unquote Eastern Conference. This is the other half. Similar to football, right? 4 divisions. Midwest. So here you go, Twins fans. You'd be in a division with the Brewers, like it was for time immemorial, since Milwaukee's got its team back. The White Sox and the Cubs. Tell me right now if White Sox and Cubs fans would be thrilled playing in the same division. No. That's the beauty of it. It's like the Yankees, Mets, no one would want them in the same division playing third. I wouldn't. Astros, Royals, Cardinals, Rangers. You've got Rockies. Remember, the Athletics are going to be in Vegas. So you'd have Denver, Vegas, Seattle, San Francisco, and then Arizona, the Angels, the Dodgers, and the Padres. I think for those of us that are, I would say, what's the right word on this? Hesitant. I got an email yesterday after the show, and I want to read this real quick because I think this was well written from a longtime viewer of our program, and I appreciate it. Dom, this has been coming since they legally dissolved the leagues as separate entities. When they go to 32, 6 divisions are not going to work anymore, so there's going to have to be some sort of realignment anyway. TV partners are always looking for premium matchups, And Manfred specifically called out how the postseason broadcast windows would work better with an East-West versus AL-NL format. That's what he was talking about at the end there. Finally, Manfred is a labor lawyer. The reduced travel is another card that can be played in negotiations with the union. Embrace the inevitable. It's like Thanos with the snap in the Avengers. We know it's coming. I appreciate that, and he's dead on. It just, for the traditionalist that I am with that sport, seeing that is tough to take. Like the Jets and Giants don't play in the same division. Right? That would not be fun. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing the boat on that. We have a packed show coming up for you here on this Tuesday. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. As I mentioned, you'll hear from Bison Athletic Director Matt Larsen is coming up at 9:20 to discuss how the game with Montana State and Las Vegas all came about. That's coming up in just a few minutes. At 9:35, Mike McFeely will join us in his usual time slot. We'll discuss the Vegas game. Mike also spent the last 2 months, I hope people got a chance to check it out at Inforum, on the Bison 75, the top 75 NDSU Division I football games. A lot of fun. We'll get into that with Mike coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, Justin Sell will join us, South Dakota State Athletic Director. The Jackrabbits getting ready for a new football season with Dan Jackson now as head coach. And also, SDSU is going to Vegas as well in 2029. We'll get his thoughts on that. And at 10:35, one of our all-time favorites, that's our yearly preseason visit with Bismarck head football coach Mark Gibson will join us as they get ready for 2025. I'm sure he's going to complain to me about numbers, about youth after they won 7 football games a year ago, 8 football games a year ago. Gibby will give us some good stuff to wrap up the show coming up at 10:35. So, action-packed for the next hour and 40 minutes or so. Well, glad you're joining us. We'll take our first break. We come back. Matt Larsen on the Bison heading to Vegas. Back on Hot Mic on a Tuesday morning right after this. Off and rolling here on a Tuesday morning. Another email comes in our last segment. Dom, don't forget there are teams. Portland wants one. Salt Lake City wants one. Charlotte we mentioned. Can we get Montreal back? There's 2 things we need to have happen. The Nordiques need to come back in hockey and the Expos in baseball. The 2 greatest logos of the 80s and 90s were the Expos and the Nordiques. Make it happen. Expansion's coming. Get those teams back. We'll save a little bit more on that conversation for hour 2. We mentioned off the top, Bison are heading to Las Vegas, 2027 for a date with Montana State. Man who had a big part in putting this together is athletic director Matt Larsen. I had a chance to visit with him yesterday on how this all came together. How long have you been sitting on this one?
This one's been in the works for a while, and I know I've kind of teased a little bit with you about it, but this has been one that's a destination that we've wanted to get to. You know, over the course, we started conversations probably at least 2 years ago. Some things fell through, and then this thing kind of came together with Montana State and South Dakota State and Montana. So I think just great for FCS football, but glad to finally have it done.
Is ESPN approach you? You go to them? Give us the minutia of how this all came about?
It really kind of started with us approaching them collectively as a group. And felt we just thought this would be, again, great for FCS football, and I think ESPN, given those 4 programs and kind of your 4 best brands in FCS football, I think they saw this as a really good opportunity as well. 4 really good fan bases, opportunity to travel, so I think it all just came together really well.
When Montana State comes, I mean, is that like, okay, absolutely, let's do it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think once we knew it was the 4 of us, well, we weren't going to play South Dakota State. And, okay, so which Montana? And honestly, I mean, I think the games between us and Montana State the last 6 years, you go back in the playoffs, and have been really good games. And so it's a natural rivalry now. And, again, when you look at year in and year out, the top of the standings in FCS football, our programs are there. And so, again, great fan bases, a lot of great stories. Brent Vegan, the job that he's done there, and so I think that's something that will get both fan bases really excited about.
The allure of Las Vegas, we talked about this a long time ago about everything wants to be there. The college football championship game is going to be there earlier that year. Describe that we want to be part of that. It seems like everybody else is there and we want to get our NDSU's name in
I mean, it really is. It's becoming kind of the sports mecca in so many different ways. And, we've talked over the years about trying to get creative with scheduling. And, we've done Nashville. We're going to do Nashville and Charleston this year, trying to do something to keep our fan base energized and excited. And, what better place over Labor Day weekend to be able to spend a 3 or 4 day weekend but Vegas. And so, no, we're excited to be there. And, again, to be able to showcase our brand, showcase our fan base, I think on that platform is what we're pretty excited about.
Especially, I know your relationship with ESPN is super tight. To have them be involved in this, and it's going to be a nationally televised game. How big a deal is that?
Well, it's important. I mean, I think we've done a good job by them, and they certainly appreciate the relationship with us. And so anytime you can be in, 75 million homes, particularly on a weekend like that, in a facility like that, in a matchup like that. I think that's great brand visibility for our program. And again, I still think at some level we have a job to put FCS on a pedestal as well too, and on a national platform. And so this gives us a really good opportunity to accomplish both of those.
Did the team know about it before the release, or is this something that they just found out?
No, well, they're in practice right now, so they'll probably find out after. And so, no, I mean, we kept this one pretty quiet. And that's hard to do because you guys are always asking the right questions. But we tried to keep this one quiet. So obviously, Coach Polisek's staff, our marketing folks knew, but tried to keep this one under wraps. We gotta have some prizes every once in a while.
How do you think this is going to go over, though, especially for the guys who are going to be here in 2027?
I think they'll be excited. I mean, I think the opponent. Our guys are always about opportunity to continue to get better, and playing on a stage like that, whether it's a national championship, whether it's playing in Target Field or US Bank or Nissan Stadium, I think these are the reasons why you come to NDSU, to play in games like that on national TV against what's going to be a top-ranked opponent. So I think they'll be pretty excited about it.
So have another game done. I know you got to be jumping up and down. You still got one more to go, but to have that, how big a deal is that? Just okay, we got 3 out of the 4 non-conference done.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, scheduling's hard enough, and then we're like, oh yeah, let's vote in another game each year. So now we have 12, which so sometimes we're gluttons for punishment.
Yeah.
But it's actually been really good because our emphasis has been is how do we get some really good non-conference matchups, which will help not just our resume but our league's resume at the end of the year when it comes playoff selection time. So we're getting close. We have hopefully some in 26 we're going to see, trying to fill that game, and then we'll have some other ones here. So we're having a lot of conversations, keeping Todd busy.
For alumni base that you have a ton in Arizona, the fact that get them close by, how appealing was that during the whole process of this?
I think, well, anytime you can get to a place that one is pretty readily accessible from air travel, but to have folks that can also drive there. And I think that's one of the things we found about going down to the southeast too, is that there's some pretty good pockets of alums down there, but easy to travel, drivable in some cases. So, but yeah, from a Vegas perspective, the amount of alums and fans that we have that live there year round, what a great opportunity to hop in the car and you're there in 3 or 4 hours.
Maybe keeping your fingers crossed that Cam Miller is still a Raider in 2027. It all come together.
I'm hoping. Boy, it'd be great to have him if they're home that weekend. Have him on the sideline, and that's what's always been neat. The amount of our NFL players who come back and are still a part of the program every chance they get.
12-game deal. We talk plenty about it. Not that it's creating headaches, but how quickly are you finding there are going to be a good number of teams that will do it next year, or are going to kind of test balloon and see how it goes and then jump in the water in 2027?
I think the plan is, I think the majority are going to try to get that 12th game, and we're hopeful of that too, because without FBS being able to play, that's more opportunities to get a quality FCS game. So that's our plan there. But I think most majority were in favor of it, and so I think you're going to see most hopping on board and wanting to add that extra game
and play Division I opponents, hopefully.
That is the hope. No, and I do. I think this is a really good opportunity. The part of this idea was to showcase FCS football, so hopefully that's what we're going to see over those extra weekends.
Last thing, I know it's only been out for about an hour, but initial reaction, what have you heard from either fans or friends of yours? Like, holy cow, this is happening.
I just watched on social media a little bit, and there's been really good reaction. And again, we anticipated that from our fan base. I think these are the types of things that they enjoy and they look for, and so we've tried to deliver on those as best we can, but I think it's really positive. And again, I think it's, like I said, it's really good for FCS football to see national media outlets picking it up too and saying, hey, this is a big deal. These 4 programs are playing in Vegas on national TV and is partnered with ESPN on it, so I think that's pretty special.
He's right about that. There was tweets out yesterday, stories that typically when a non-conference game gets announced, just don't get picked up. That did. It was on ESPN's ticker yesterday. Again, I know ESPN created the game, but that's just a different deal. So, again, we'll have Justin Sell, South Dakota State AD, in about a half hour to get into the Jackrabbits game with Montana. We'll break. Mike McFeely waiting in the wings. We'll talk about this. I've been sworn not to talk about uniforms, so we won't do that. We will chat about the Bison 75, his project you can check out at Inforum.com right now. Back on Hot Mike right after this.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Yeah, we will with our guy. Mike McFeely joins us from the Forum of Fargo-Moorhead, columnist there each and every Tuesday at 9:35, so we're a little late today. Apologize on that. Ready to lead the brigade to Gloria Navarre's office in the Mountain West is in Las Vegas, correct?
I have a quick story before we get into that, okay? So I live in North Moorhead.
Yes.
Okay? I come across the old toll bridge
on
12th Avenue and then turn south on 2nd Street to get to WDAY to come and do your program each Tuesday. So I'm at the intersection of 12th Avenue and 2nd Street. It's a 4-way stop. Key part of the story. 4-way stop.
Oh, boy.
I come to a stop at my stop sign. I'm going to turn left. I look to my left. There's a man on a bike, a bike, riding his bicycle, looking at his phone,
oh boy,
tapping his phone with no hands on the handlebars.
Okay.
I go, well, it's a 4-way stop. Okay. I start to pull out in the intersection.
Yeah.
Joe Bicycle Guy here goes right through the stop sign, doesn't stop tapping on his phone until he notices me pulling out, and I can slam on the brakes. He looks at me.
Oh, you got the,
he looks at me.
You got the stink eye?
He looks at me and gives me the Dikembe Mutombo.
Oh. Yeah.
That's how my day started.
So you got off to a rip-roaring start, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Man, it's always somebody on a bike, huh? Was Kolpak that one time?
Yeah, Kolpak down the ditch with Kolpak riding by me with his pack of thugs up in North Moorhead.
Well,
so
I'm sorry that happened.
So
on
the
way
T-shirt
here.
I'm wearing today, I don't know if Eric can zoom
You go,
in.
we got it. We got it all right.
This is why I wear T-shirts like this.
For the podcast listeners, it says, I'm surrounded by idiots. That's what it says. So
yes.
Try not to take too offense to that.
So anyway, you're talking about Gloria Navarez.
I apologize.
You had a great lead-in for me.
Yeah, it's all right. But I didn't know you had
I got stories.
You had incidents when you get to work.
I got stories.
So,
I can't say on the air what I mouth.
I think we all can envision what you probably said.
2 words. I could say one of them on the air.
Something you, I imagine?
It'd be you. And that'd be the second word in what I said to the bicyclist who gave me the Dikembe Mutombo.
It's awesome. Rest in peace. Yeah, so bicycle to Vegas.
What a big deal. What a big deal.
That's pretty cool.
Very exciting for North Dakota State. We've talked about this a lot. I've talked about this a lot, that the fan interest in some of these games just isn't what it once was for the Bison, and for various reasons. And so North Dakota State has done a good job the last several years, and a tip of the cap to Matt Larsen and Todd Phelps and those guys for trying to do something different and get people engaged in some of these non-conference games. And I think that Matt Larsen told you yesterday, he basically said, we're trying to do some things that get the fan base excited and get them, jazzed up about some of these games. And they did that. And kudos to Montana State, Montana, and South Dakota State for all kind of getting together and saying, let's do this and let's showcase FCS football in Vegas. And the top, as Larsen said again to you, the top 4 brands in FCS are getting together and doing something.
Linking arms there.
Exciting, which maybe someday they'll all end up in the same conference together. Not in FCS?
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah. I think it's interesting, the attendance-wise, we're going to talk about, because we hammered that a couple years ago once we found out the numbers were not going to be anywhere close to what we thought at U.S. Bank Stadium.
Yes.
And there were myriad of reasons on that. I think opponent had a lot to go into that as well. We were visiting a break in Eastern Washington.
Had a lot of different things going on.
Didn't have some buzz there.
The location had something to do with it, that it was in Minneapolis.
I think this is different, and I think we could have a distinct amount of fans come to this game.
I threw out in my column yesterday that I wrote the number 50,000.
Yeah.
That might be a lot, but I mean, you were in Frisco last January and saw
Montana State.
There was way more Montana State fans in Frisco last year. Now, there's reasons for that as well, that they were the team of destiny.
Their all-time team.
Tommy Malott, and they were 1,001% certain that they were going to win that game and that they were going to beat their hated rival.
Correct.
And they were going to win their first championship in 40 years. And none of that came to pass. But Montana State has a great following. That is a program that continues to be on the grow.
Yeah, growing was the word I was going to use.
I mean, you talk about schools that would be perfectly fit for the Mountain West Conference.
Hello.
And geography-wise, I hate to even say this, but it'd be even better than
geography-wise.
It'd be better than North Dakota State.
Yep.
And
Bozeman,
they've got all the things going out in Bozeman. That you need to make that move up. And got to be nice if NDSU and Montana State got an invite, but that's a whole different deal. But no, it's fantastic. I was excited. I had kind of gotten wind of this a few days prior to it happening. Didn't know it was for sure. And so kind of went, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then it turned out to be the deal yesterday.
I think, I said 40, if you get 20 from each, that's, in a 65,000 seat stadium, I know there'll still be a lot of empty seats. That's 40,000 for an FCS regular season game is pretty damn good.
That's almost like SWAC-like. Because there are FCS schools that regularly draw more than 30,000.
Yep.
And all of them are HBCUs.
Yes.
But Montana State does, I think they've been getting around 20.
Yes. For their home games.
Their official capacity is only 17, but it seats more than that.
Yes.
And for that, last time I was out there was for the Bozeman block game.
Yep.
And that place was packed.
I would tell you, look at week 2 when the Jackrabbits go there. It's going to be a night game in Bozeman. That's going to be crazy, and it's going to be that's what they want. That's their ESPN's tapping into that. Say these are the top schools. But
you look at the 4 teams, and ESPN doesn't want a 65,000 seat stadium with 12,000 people or 5,000 people in it. Like, by the way, UTEP and Northern Illinois would get if they played. They'd have about 6,000 people there.
You couldn't help yourself on that yesterday. No. I laughed when I read that. I'm like, boy, there's the 2 newest Mountain West members, UTEP and Northern Illinois.
There in the ribs.
Just getting blindsided
Mountain
there.
West, pin-headed, dough-headed, egg-headed, arrogant presidents of the Mountain West schools. But anyway, no, it's a good deal. It's a good deal for NDSU. It's a good deal for the fans.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think it's more accessible to more fans than Charleston or Nashville this year will be. I know that there's going to be a good number of fans going down there, but
what's your number on that for the Nashville game? I've had people ask me
a few thousand.
Yeah.
I think it's not going to be like 10,000.
That seems astronomical.
But Vegas is.
Yeah, that's different.
There's a lot of ways to get to Vegas for less than $200.
And it's a direct flight out of Fargo now too.
Yes, and they're going to add flights, I'm sure. And there's a lot of, as you talked with Matt about, there's a lot of alums in Phoenix.
Yep.
And so I don't think it's a very long drive from there. And so it'll be good. It'll be very exciting.
Yep.
And I don't know about the Bozeman. I'm assuming they have direct flights from Bozeman to Vegas. And so I hope there's 50,000 people there.
Awesome.
That'd be just great. That'd be just really, really cool.
Let's break. We come back. We'll visit on project that Mike's been working on for the better part of 2 months, debuted over the weekend and been heating up on the internet. We'll talk about that when we wrap up hour 1 of Hot Mike on a Tuesday. We're back after this. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Justin Sell, South Dakota State AD, going to join us here in about 20 minutes' time. Back with Mike. First off, salute to you on doing the Bison 75. That was really cool. I know you had talked to me about it 2.5 months ago when you were percolating the idea. You talked to Everybody. You talked to Craig Bohl. You talked to
Yeah.
Chris Kleiman. You talked to Matt Entz. You talked to Gene Taylor. Tyler Roll gave you about 100 games
Oh, that's fantastic. No,
to pare
20.
down.
Give me 20. He gave me 20. But he spent a lot of time.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
yeah.
So that's why if people have not seen it, it's still at inforum.com.
Special section
Go at the very top of the page. But yeah, T-Roll, him and his wife were they have a cabin out in Becker County, Minnesota. Obviously, he lived here in West Fargo and Fargo for decades. Now he's with the Detroit Lions. So he and his wife took some time off in June or July.
It's pretty much the only time they have off
Right,
in the NFL.
and then he and his wife drove from Becker County back to Detroit. And so they just had all kinds of time. and Tyler,
sure, Mary loved that.
Yeah. Tyler's going, I'm driving, and she's on her phone. I'm going, hey, look up the game from 2000. He's like, oh, my goodness gracious. So he said, I had fun with it. I don't know if she did, but I had fun with it.
So the feedback to picking the Gopher Bison 07 game was what? What did you get?
We ran a poll
Yeah.
on the website, and not many people agree with me.
Which one? What
Kansas
was the
State.
Really?
Kansas
okay,
State
that was my pick of the top.
by a couple of lengths over Iowa.
Iowa's second.
Yep, and then the Gophers, and then Georgia Southern was actually Georgia Southern 2011, 12.
2012.
Was
a lot
really
of fondness for that game.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so, but again, it's all. My whole point with a lot of this was by picking the NDSU Gophers game as the most impactful, memorable top game.
Again, it's not best game.
Right.
It's all those
not, right.
qualifiers.
It's not the closest,
Right.
most exciting
Yes.
game. It's the game that had the most impact and the most, just the, as I said, what has made NDSU football into what NDSU football is today. No doubt that Kansas State and Iowa played a large role, and Georgia Southern played a large role in that. But I picked the Gophers game because at the time, in the context of where the Bison program was at that time, that was a massive victory.
Yep.
And I was around for it. You were around for it.
Yep.
I know that a lot of fans weren't as into it then as they are now, but that was a huge deal.
They got on ESPN for the first time. They're on the old ESPN college football highlight show that night, and that was a title roll running down the sideline.
Yes.
I remember
that.
I was calling Stace, like, the Bison are on ESPN
you
tonight.
can still find those highlights on YouTube. If you Google like ESPN, I Googled ESPN Sports Center, Bison 2007, and Thor Brown caught a touchdown pass.
That had never happened before.
The hammer, Thor Brown drops the hammer on the Gophers and all that.
Yep.
But it also, Polasek, Kleiman, obviously those guys had a fondness for, the Iowa game. It was just a huge victory for NDSU football. And also the Kansas State game was just, legendary and it just the way the drive, the 18-play, 9-minute drive that ended with Jensen, backing into the end zone. And I get it. I get what a big deal that was. But, when Craig Bohl, the chairman of the board and the architect of the whole thing, along with Gene Taylor and Joe Chapman, when he says, that kind of changed the way that everybody looked at us, and even maybe how we looked at ourselves at the time.
Yep.
And that, Joe Chapman called me, 10 days later and said, congratulations. And Craig said, what for? And he said, applications to NDSU are up 28%. Following the Gophers game because people discovered North Dakota State.
Wow.
He said, and Craig said it changed the university.
Yep.
And the way people looked at us. And so that when Craig Bohl says that, and Gene Taylor said, I don't know if it's number one or not, but if you want to talk about it, how one game changes the perception and the direction of an entire athletic program and football program, he said that's the game that did it for us.
You had another one on there that I don't know if was initially on your list because we did a podcast on it, which is fun as well. The Ball State game was it was on there, but it was higher than you thought.
Ball
maybe.
State was on my list originally. I originally had a top 100, and it just turned out that so many of the games, like past 85, they were just a bunch of Dakota Marker games that were not very memorable, that were just kind of stacked, 93 to 98. It's like, well, okay, so I just cut those out, went with 75. But the Ball State game was on there, but it was pretty far down the list. And after talking with Tyler Roll and, again, Craig Bowl and those, they said, well, again, if you think about it, at the time, that was huge.
Yep.
And I went back and looked it up in our archives, and indeed, there was a photo of Craig Bowl getting a Gatorade bath.
Yeah, I forgot
from
that.
his players.
Yeah.
And I talked to Brian Shawn, the former voice of the Bison on television, who's covered him for years. And he said, well, he was at Channel 11 at the time. He said, we sent a camera crew out to the airport after that game because it was such a big deal that that they beat Ball State. And so I went, and I was there, and I went back and looked what I wrote.
Yeah.
And shockingly, I asked, and this is the God's honest truth.
This is awesome.
This is the God's honest truth. I was talking to Gene Taylor on the field in Muncie, Indiana, and I asked him, so does this mean you guys should go FBS?
You've been years ahead of your time, man.
I didn't realize at the time, but I was years ahead of my time.
That's 20 years ago.
And I kind of forgot about it in the meantime.
That's so good.
And Gene's answer was, whoa, hey, whoa. Let's just pump the brakes here, Hoss. Let's enjoy this victory and see where we go from here. And they went pretty good places.
Pretty good.
There. Yep.
It's outstanding. And shout out to you, to Rob Beer, for making it happen digitally wise. You can go and that was my favorite part, was to click on it to see the newspaper headline from that particular day.
If you have a
with
chance
the
to
photo.
look at the e-edition, look at the design team and Forum Communications did a great job.
Cool. It's really neat.
Really cool.
Yep.
Very quick before we go.
Yeah.
One last thing. Congratulations to Jack Strand, the quarterback at Minnesota State Moorhead. He was listed among the top 20 draft eligible quarterbacks on the Athletics website today by Dane Brugler, my guy,
Your guy, yep.
Who does the NFL draft stuff, who's pretty level-headed and pretty accurate.
He called Cam Miller being drafted last year.
Yep. And so congratulations to a Dragon, the most noteworthy quarterback. Not that Cole Payton doesn't, if he has a big year, look out. But Jack Strand is listed among the top 20 quarterbacks, number 17 among the draft, which probably will translate into a preferred free agent.
Yep. It also helps he throws the ball 70 times a game, so there's an opportunity.
Well, but there's more to it than that.
No, I know,
but, I mean,
he's good. He's really good.
6'5", 240.
He's a big dude. He can heave it. Yeah.
Yep.
Dragons will be fun to watch this year. Good stuff there. Thanks for coming by, bud.
Yep.
Good job as
Thank
always.
you.
Mike McFeely joining us each and every Tuesday at 9:35. Shout out to that bicyclist. Got in the way. We'll take a break.
I'm Dikembe you right now.
Justin Sell will join us. South Dakota State AD on the Jacks going to Vegas as well. Coming up, we start hour 2 right after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike on the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 on this Tuesday morning, ready to rock and roll. Bismarck head football coach Mark Gibson will join us about a half hour. Looking forward to that. We mentioned off the top of the big college football news in our area that broke yesterday. North Dakota State will face Montana State in a game in Las Vegas over Labor Day weekend 2027. They'll be joined by South Dakota State and the University of Montana in 2029 at Allegiant Stadium over Labor Day weekend. Great to have Justin Sell back on our show, South Dakota State athletic director, on this Tuesday morning to give us the lowdown on this. So give us your part of this. When did you find out? How did this all come together for the Jackrabbits to make this happen?
Yeah, I think, scheduling is always conversation kind of year-round. Certainly Matt and I, and then Leon and Kent at Montana State and Montana talk often, just more in the landscape of FCS and the challenges. We all seem to face similar challenges, and whether that's budgets, whether that's scheduling, there's a lot of likenesses. And so, really kind of had the opportunity, and certainly grateful for ESPN and their understanding of our fan bases, their understanding that FCS football is there's some unique components to it, and one worth putting on the big stage. And so to have the opportunity kind of come together here, I would say in the last 6 months, and kind of work out some of those details and how do we make it happen. And with these 4 schools, I think it's great for FCS football. I think for all of us that, scheduling certainly has its own challenges, and to get a game like this early in the season. And then, truthfully, to be able to announce it now, it just creates that excitement. It creates the excitement. We've got some great teams again this fall. But as people start to plan their future travels and schedules, I think our fan bases will show up and show up really well.
Describe, Justin, the immediate reaction you heard from alums, donors about this when it got released yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, the response has been fantastic. And I don't know that I didn't think it would be a lot, but it's been a lot. Yeah. I think, and I say that it's 4 years away, and yet, people are so excited. I think, and probably some of it for us, Dom, is, kind of going from Division II to Division I, and then really taking the last decade to build, a program, and whether that's a brand or an image, and to have it come to this, that we're in that category, that we built ourselves into that spot. I think there's just a sense of pride for what we do, and this announcement just added to that. And then, a lot of them are already trying to figure out how to block that on their calendar, and where they're going to go and how they're going to spend their 3 or 4 days in Las Vegas.
We chatted, I think, when you announced the Target Field game. Did that give you the blueprint that we can do this, that there's a hive of fans that want to go see the Jackrabbits play in non-traditional locations?
Yeah, and I think for me, it probably started when we played in the spring national championship game, in Frisco. You got to put in how many tickets you want, and there was limited tickets because of COVID, but you're like, I hope we can fill those even with the limited piece. And not only did we fill them, the demand was huge. And then to play NDSU in our kind of first national championship in the kind of a regular season, you couldn't get a ticket through our allotment. You couldn't even come close. That demand was probably double. And so I think that gave us great confidence with the Target Field deal, and then that turned out really well. So, yeah, I think that was a sense in the last 4 or 5 years that our fan base will travel. Our fan base is excited about these opportunities, and we're probably in a different position than we were 10 years ago.
I have to ask, because Bison fans always ask me, how do the Jacks still get in FBS games? They've been good for a while, and you have, I believe, Northwestern, Iowa State. I think you have the Huskers still. So I ask you, how are you still getting these games?
Yeah, well, several. So the Nebraska one was done probably 10 years ago. We were supposed to play them in 24, and they moved to go to Ireland.
Oh,
and so
okay.
we ended up that's how we ended up picking up the Oklahoma State game last fall. Yep. So we were supposed to play them in 24 and 28, and then the 24 got moved to 30. So we have them in 28 and 30 now. Northwestern was done probably 3 years ago at least. And Iowa State was done a couple of years too. So we're that far out in those schedules. Now, the in-between years, the 29 for us, we didn't have a Power 4 game. So this is an amazing opportunity to kind of fill that in as we continue to work on that schedule. But yeah, I would say the calls are a little more difficult at this point. Definitely.
Nobody answering a 605 area code now when you call?
No, I don't think many are taking calls from our two states.
Yeah, that's the fact you still got them though. I mean, and they're going to play. That's a huge. I mean, I have to imagine Chicago for the Northwestern game. That could be a huge turnout for you guys as well.
Yeah, it'll be incredible. Obviously, tons of alums, but a lot within driving distance. Yeah. And then Chicago again is almost like its own place as far as making a weekend of it. And we'll do really well at Northwestern next fall.
Let me talk about this upcoming year because you've got a dynamite start with Sacramento State. We were talking off air. You have Sac State and Montana State in Bozeman to start. That's a heck of a 1-2 punch for a new head football coach. I know when you were mapping it out, did he just like, okay, that whoever our team's going to look like, that's a challenging way to start 2025?
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, Montana State, we had done a home and home, played here in 23, and then this was the return to it. So that was already kind of set up. And then, as we kind of get into that last game we need every year, there's a handful of teams that can fill that. And so, Sacramento State was on that list, and opportunity for us to be able to get them in here and get a guarantee game, get a home game. And the Big Sky, we've had a great relationship in terms of playing those schools. They're willing to play, and they're great games. Our fans understand that. Our fans appreciate that. And then, no one, they wouldn't have known when they signed on we'd have a complete new staff, and we didn't know they would either. So, that changes. You can't really map out all those things on where someone is at as a program, or if they're going to be highly ranked or not. You certainly know which schools have that potential. And so it's going to be a great start. And then Montana State, we've developed a pretty good, rivalry to some degree as far as just the affiliation, and with Leon Costello, their AD, having worked here, and just some of the kind of those nuances. It's been a great game for us. I know NDSU obviously has had great games with them too. And the Vegas game will be incredible for Bison fans as well as Bobcats.
You speak of the Bison, you have them at your place this year. ESPN's picked it up. I anticipate that's going to be a night game. You've been to plenty of Dakota Marker games, as have I. That one may be the most highly anticipated in Brookings that I can remember. That will be highly exciting for that last week in October.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I've been here. I'm in year 17, and just every game with NDSU is awesome. Whether regular season, playoffs, it got a little old in the middle there when we were playing. It seemed like 2 times a year, and most of them up in Fargo. But I think, given where our programs are and us winning a couple national championships in a row, and obviously NDSU coming back and getting it done last year, I agree with your sentiment. Being on ESPN, being late November, there's going to be obviously a lot riding on that, probably from seeding perspectives and for a Valley Conference championship and all those things we play for, and then just the amount of respect we have for each other. But that's going to be a really hard ticket. It's going to be electric. Obviously, ESPN will set the time of that game. But a night game in that environment could be off the charts.
For that game last year with USD, is that something you can maybe have a gauge for, knowing you did it last year, was prime time under the lights, that it might be even bigger with the Bison? Is that a gauge for what you did last year?
Yeah, I think absolutely. And obviously we go at 2:00 just from a weather perspective, sun, better experience, and all those kinds of things. But I would say fans in general, that night game, especially against a rival, there's just something electric about it. There's something that changes when you go from 2 to 6. It's dark. Yeah. It's kind of football weather. It's outside. It's the intensity's there, and then people have had all day to kind of pre-celebrate to get in the stadium, and obviously NDSU travels so well. Their tailgate is the most organized one we have come in here. I would say our campus officials actually love working with them because they know exactly what they're doing. We got a great spot for them, and it's great college football. I mean, if you step outside our own hats, there's not many environments that are quite like that one.
I have to ask, we were joking off air, that's nice to be talking about on the field. I got to talk some off the field, and we haven't had a chance to discuss the decision by the university to opt in to the House settlement. I know you had vacillated a bit. You weren't alone on that. There are a lot of schools that did that. Describe why you ended up in the decision to opt in. Why was this the best way for South Dakota State to go?
Yeah, I think once they changed the ability to grandfather the rosters, for us, that was in the range of 70 to 75 student athletes. And so university perspective, tuition, a lot of those student athletes are the ones that are on low or partial or no scholarships. And so they're, paying full fare, and all of a sudden you lose 75 students on campus. That has to be planned for. Secondly, we were probably moving towards that the next March anyway. And if I could protect those kids, I'd rather do it than turn around 9 months later and say, oh, by the way, you don't have a home and we're going to these roster limits. So it gives us some time to work that in. The rest of it, honestly, in balance, there weren't a lot of differences of how we have to operate and the things we have to work in. Because truthfully, the revenue share piece for those schools that are doing $20.5 million, it matters. For some of us, we have other mechanics to get some of that done. But I think this is a really good place for us. It gives us some flexibilities in some ways to do some things with donors and certainly raising more dollars, even just simply for Alston money, which we didn't do a lot of in the last 4 years. Some of those categories, it makes it easier.
I know, Justin, for the fan base up here on my show, and I know we got plenty of people that watch in South Dakota, was trying to inform them what this was. How much have you had to be out front to talk to your alums, talk to your donors about exactly what this is and how to contribute to NIL, and how much of a fact-finding were you doing over the last couple months and still doing?
Yeah, I would say that works ongoing because it's going to take time to catch up to the whole fan base and those donors.
Right.
You probably start with some groups of sports or where you need to get to. And some, it's not just a football, men's basketball, it's timing. Volleyball's in season, like their recruiting windows. Who are they talking to right now? You got to have that stuff together. So you have to have an idea of what packages you have and what resources you might be able to use. So really trying to work through that. And we kind of set a timeline of September 1st to have all of those pieces and messages together. And then really by signing day in November, we want to be able to lock in so our coaches know exactly where they're at, what they have to offer, what it looks like. And really for returning student athletes, probably first and foremost. And then what's it look like in the marketplace for those freshmen you're recruiting? I am fortunate, Dom. Our fan base has been really supportive and trusting of the things that we do and how we go about doing it. We've obviously utilized a lot of patience over the last 4 years, which patience in sports is hard. But I think those decisions have played out well kind of time and time again. So we start in a really good place with our fan base, and I appreciate that a lot from them.
We have a lot of people that watch us in Rapid City. Your basketball teams are going to play out there. Can you give us the lowdown on how that came about to get the women specifically to play Montana out in Rapid City this coming November?
Yeah, so our men played Northern Colorado last year. We've been working with Rapid City for a while on just getting some opportunities to get out west. We have a lot of great supporters, and Rapid City is farther away than Minneapolis, right? So, and yet it's in the same state.
Right.
So you're trying to always figure out it's important for us to be out there, and we're out there every year. But to bring a game, it went really well. And then obviously with our women's basketball team, and then with a team like Montana, that kind of local connection. Really makes for a special day. So when we can put some games in the Pentagon down in Sioux Falls and you take game 16 or 17, you get 15 home games, and then you take an away game and you put it in your state, it's a really pretty cool thing to do. And those games have been really good. Rapid City has been very accepting and very interested in getting the Jackrabbits out there.
I saw also you're going to Cancun. Are you part of that trip that this coming Thanksgiving or no?
I haven't made it. Our women's team's played there a few times. I have not made the Cancun trip. It's usually football playoffs, selection shows, Thanksgiving weekend with the family. So I'll let them go enjoy the competition down there.
Last thing for you, the decision that the Summit League had to stay for its basketball tournament in Sioux Falls. I know how big a deal it is for your fan base. I'm sure they were overwhelmed on that. How much do you tap into that to say this is our Super Bowl? We want you to come. You can be an impact to go to Sioux Falls for 3 days and check out this event.
Yeah, obviously our fans understand having it in this area, and really it's both a men's and women's team for us. And so they get a double up, I think, over the years. I mean, they showed up early when we were in the old building, and it's carried over and grown into the new one. But I'm also proud of them. They show up for other games and other sessions as well. I think, there's a lot of sessions that probably would have 500 people at it, and there's 4,000 because you got a bunch of our fans that are they're into college basketball. And it's a lot like NDSU fans with the national championship. I mean, that you buy into that, that's your thing. And for our fans, that tournament's been around for 15 years in our area, and it's their thing. That's their spring break. That's their week to celebrate great college basketball. They love watching all of it, and then certainly they love supporting the Jackrabbits.
If there's anybody else I know you don't want to see to win in women's basketball, it'd be nice to see, but you guys have got a monopoly on that, what's going on in women's hoops in the Summit League right now. I really appreciate the time. Congrats on the Vegas game, and good luck here in a couple weeks. We'll catch you down the road, all right?
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks so much for the time. Justin Sell, South Dakota State Athletic Director, joining us this morning. The Jackrabbits, they'll get Montana, that game in Vegas in 2029. I'm telling you right now, Eric, you can bring up the schedule again when you have a second. That for them, for Dan Jackson to start, was Sac State and then at Montana State. That's a tough. Personally, I think they're going to destroy Sac State. I do not think that game is going to be close. Everybody's going to want to get a piece of Sac State from what the president has been saying about JV football, and I think the Jacks will do that. Dan Jackson's first game, Chase Mason's first game, I think they're going to have some fun. The game in Bozeman is going to be incredibly difficult. That is going to be a hard game for them. So if they're 1-1 out of that, right, and I'm saving my team-by-team predictions for later in the week and into next week, then you've got 2 layups. I'm just going to call it then. And then you got a night game in Youngstown. By the way, gamesmanship going on there. What's Youngstown doing scheduled in South Dakota State for a 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Central kick? Come on. Northern Iowa, they should take care of. They're going to win at Murray. That's the Jacks' first trip to Murray, by the way. Then the Bison. They get Indiana State in Brookings. Boy, the games in Brookings are layup until the Bison come. Then at South Dakota, that's the other ESPN game. The last 3 could be tricky. At South Dakota, Illinois State coming to Brookings. And again, I'm not ready to recognize Illinois State till they beat either the Bison or the Jacks, which they haven't done in 6 years, and then end the season in Grand Forks. And that's not a typo, folks. That is a scheduling anomaly that I know the Jacks went to Grand Forks last year. They're doing it again this year. So then to break up having UND and NDSU at home on the same year, or on the road for that matter. The Bison wanted that as well, to not have the Jacks and UND on the home schedule both times. Like, this is the last time for NDSU they'll play at Brookings and Grand Forks in the same regular season. That won't happen going after this. But going to be really Kolpak said this on our preview show, and if you missed it, you can go back and check it out at WDAY Plus and Inforum.com. South Dakota State is the great question mark this year. They're the great experiment. How does a team rebuild itself after losing as much as they did? They went in the portal. They got a bunch of drop-down guys. They brought up some guys from the NAI and D2 ranks. How good are they going to be? We even have difference of opinions in this building on. I still think they're going to be really good. Others think they will be not as good. It's the great experiment surrounding South Dakota State in 2025. All right, we're over for a break. We got a bunch of baseball emails to get to on the expansion and realignment. We'll get to them. And Gibby coming up here in about 15 minutes. Back at a fast-moving hot mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to Justin Sell for giving us a few minutes there. Got some NFL news to share as we've been busy with guests. The Indianapolis Colts have named a starting quarterback. If you heard a loud yell from downtown Fargo, I don't know if that was Getzinger yelling about this, but Daniel Jones is going to be the guy. He will start the regular season opener versus the Dolphins. This was some added context on this as well, that Shane Steichen, the head coach of the Colts, said this is not a short lease. He is going to be the guy. So Anthony Richardson, how many years ago was that? Was he the number, whatever, 4 pick? Was that 2 years ago? 2 years ago. They've already, well, welcome to the Jets model. We gave up on Zach Wilson 2.5 years in, and we saw everything. Anthony Richardson has barely played football. A lot of Trey Lance similarities there that he's barely been out there. But it is going to be Daniel. That's why Daniel Jones didn't sign with the Vikes. He wanted to go a place he thought he could start. He wasn't going to be the starter in Minnesota. JJ had the job, and they told him that. So he's moving on. And going to be the starter for the Indianapolis Colts come week 1. Also, news out of Jacksonville. The Jaguars have made a couple of cuts. Eli Mostert's name is on there. Eli played, I know, in the first preseason game. Not sure how much game time he got in the second one, which is against the Saints this past week, but Eli's name on the cut list there from Jacksonville. So we'll see. That's the business part of this, folks. They got to get down to 53 guys, and that starts now. So we'll see what happens for the former Bison All-American if he can catch on with somebody else before the start of the year or on a practice squad. Let's get a couple other emails in here on the baseball because this really, again, a few topics like this we got kind of fire that we have. Dom, I'm not happy with the dissolving of leagues, but geographic alignment for Major League Baseball makes sense. Travel costs for teams will be drastically cut and more fans will be able to travel to see their team play on the road. The NFL doesn't need to use geography since they're not as travel intensive. Yeah, they play once a week. It's a good point. Maybe 8 to 10 trips a year. I mean, now that everybody plays everybody, since they decided to do that a couple years ago, maybe that doesn't matter as much. But if you have, I mean, road trips in that one division, just with the Mets, Yankees, they don't have to travel. Boston is a 40-minute plane ride, if that. And who was the other one in that division? Philly? I mean, that's a train ride. They're not even getting on an airplane and they play division. Again, that's what Manfred's looking for, I guess. I mean, the Twins division, I mean, you're not going on an airplane there. You could take a train if you wanted. Minneapolis to Chicago is what? An hour plane flight? That's not that bad. It's less than that to Milwaukee. I've done that one. Minneapolis to Milwaukee. That's again 45 minutes. I guess if that's what you're looking for, then this makes sense. I guess go back to our first email that we got to start the show. Embrace the inevitable that this is going to happen. Now I'm more intrigued of, okay, where are the new teams coming? Salt Lake City is getting some mojo as well. Obviously, they now have professional hockey. The Mammoth are there, about to start their second year. Obviously, they have the Jazz. That Salt Lake City has emerged as a potential suitor. I don't know how that changes the realignment plan. If you've got now a team in Nevada, a team in Utah, you could have a team in Colorado and a team in Arizona. That probably, if I have my geography right, that probably works better than anything, but we'll see. All right, we're overdue for a break. We'll take it here. We come back. Bismarck head football coach Mark Gibson will join us as the Demons get set for another season, hopefully be on top of the WDA. We'll do that on the other side of the break. Back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here on a busy moving Tuesday show. I texted our next guest, see if he had time to come on this morning. The best response, must have had Troy Mattern drop out, and now you're moving on to plan B. He's never plan B with us. This is our usual, we do it every year before the season starts to have Bismarck head football coach Mark Gibson join it. Literally, I look back, you joined us last year, I think it was August 20th. So this is our tradition. We have to do this.
Hey, you don't have to cover up. I know that's okay. I'm plan Z, F.
No way. People are on the edge of their seats. When you are on, people get on the edge of their seats because they don't know what you're going to say. So,
yeah. All three of them.
Happy 2025. How's practice been going so far?
Practice has been okay. It's a little bit different format this year. We've actually had a longer preseason practice schedule, which I've enjoyed. We've kind of shortened up our two-a-days. So we started school a little earlier, but we have less two-a-days, but we also have extended another week because last year, I believe, we would be getting into our first game maybe this weekend, so that we just don't feel rushed.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't feel as rushed as we've been in the past. And, I think that's, it's been good health. One day we had 3 kids go down, but other than that, that's been pretty good.
We were talking about numbers. They're really good again. I know for a couple years ago, I think you were really worried about where Bismarck football was going to go. It seems as it bounced back over the last couple of years in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, our freshman numbers are down, which is concerning, but the biggest thing is we want to try to get to that number about 30 to 35 in our freshmen. We actually started with about 25, but actually we've hit the hallways. We've got 6 more kids. So we're at the 30. And then the other thing is we want to retain as many kids. We've got 26 seniors, which is a big number for us. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing to happen. There's a lot of kids. The other part of that is we've had 3 kickers come out. And the first day we separated, go to positions, and they said, "Where the kickers go?" And I said, "I have no idea." So I just said, go kick a ball in the corner. I don't know. So they, it's been okay. I mean, we've got some new faces and some kids that came out for the first time. But anytime you got numbers, you got bodies. That's a good thing.
The excitement level, the passion for it, I know it's still there. What is it like to get going? You're in the grind at camp now, right? You're still a week and a half out. What is it for you now about the run up to get ready for the start of the season?
Dan Schmicker, who I've always admired and looked up to, he always talked about enjoying going to practice, and I like practices, and I don't know, it's being around the coaches, being around your players, being around the guys. I think that's a lot of people just want to go to Friday nights and play the games. That's the easy part. It's the grind of practices. It's seeing where you start to where you're finishing, how your kids progress. I think that's the most rewarding thing as a coach is you take Cheyenne last year. They lost 2 non-conference games and ended up playing really well at the end. And so I think you look at a program like that, that's certainly something where a few years ago, Century was the 8th seed, barely got in the playoffs and made it run the finals. And I think that's a testament to coaches and the program and just staying the course. And, everybody wants to win all 9 or 12 games, what it is. But, today's age, that's not very easy.
You made the state semis this past season. Describe what you have back, and I know expectations are always sky high. What you have planned for this 25 squad?
Well, I know that you've always been part of our boosters, and you think you've never been to one of our practices. I mean, you don't know what we have coming back, but all of a sudden we're going to be a state semifinalist.
Hey, I know how good your coach you are, so I know you get the. Come on now,
Then we know. Then we go back to 0-9 days. I think a couple things. We're young in a lot of places. We do have some skilled kids back. We graduated pretty much our entire offensive line. We've got 1 returning starter in Caden Heupel. So that's a work in progress with those guys. We'll have a new quarterback in Hayden Bonley. We've got some pieces that are going to spell our tailbacks. But we like our kids' attitudes. And we like, we say that now when you get in the grind, you start losing some games. Now where are you? You know what I mean? That's the part of we're going to find out what our kids are made of. Schedules is, I know the East guys. I'm gonna add one thing, and I know I jump off topic a lot with you, and that's okay because I'm old. And we talked about this. I can say what I want, but last year we had 2 East teams made the playoffs without below 500 records, and nobody said anything about playoffs. Playoffs were fine. A few years ago, when Davies didn't make it, the world was ending because so I'm not saying it's East driven, but there's evidence to support my cause.
Well, first off, I know what you're talking about. I would tell you, we still don't have it perfect. We're
getting there.
We're getting closer. It's still but you and I are on the same page there. We make it way harder than it needs to be. I just don't understand why it's this hard to get the highest level of football right, because if we don't, it affects 2A, it affects Class A, and it affects 9-man.
All the way down. And I think that's the other part of it. We're making steps in the right direction. And I'm not saying this because he's my boss, but I credit Matt Crane, who's the new football chair committee guy, and he's a football guy.
Former football coach. Yep.
And he was at Kindred, and so he's looking at prospective Kindreds too, coming into a AA, playing a Fargo South, playing a Fargo North, playing the Grand Forks schools, playing the traditional AAA school. Really not fair to them. Yeah, their numbers are up and things are good, and they've got a good program, but why are we penalizing them? And then I've talked to Matt Wilder from Velva, and he would rather move up, but he doesn't want to move up with some of the traditional Class A schools in that region.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him.
Yep.
He makes the point he would rather go up because, like, right now, some of his starters play a half.
Right.
And instead of playing 4 quarters,
Yep.
they go through the whole season just basically playing a half of football.
Yeah.
I think we're going in the right direction. I've been told that in 2 years, if you can believe this, and I will be done by then.
I don't know if I believe that.
2 years, oh yeah, guaranteed.
Okay, guaranteed.
2 years. We're going to go to 16 teams.
Okay.
So we're going to be at 8 in the West and 8 in the East, and so that'll be wonderful.
Well,
and I think when you see that, I think more teams will opt up to AA and things like that. I think that's where we need to get to.
Well, okay. I hope that's right. I really do. I hope Minot North is up, and I still have a hard time recognizing Fargo South is in the big school. You know that. You have an unbelievable history with Fargo South. That they're not in the top level doesn't make any sense. But we've litigated that as much as we can. I do know. And look at your schedule. There was a couple years ago you came east. Was it 3 or 4 times? You're only doing that twice. So at least we're, like you said, we're moving in the right direction schedule wise.
We were Shanley's homecoming for like 6 years in a row. So Shanley's coming our way this year. So I don't know. His money must not have worked very well out there.
What do you make of what you got? You got West Fargo and Davies as trips out here, and then I know how good the WDA is. Just what is it, the usual suspects, or you think somebody? Mandan, I hear, has got a lot of attention around them of who could be really good out west this year.
I think when you look at what people have coming back, first of all, we saw Century at the Dickinson State team camp. They look like a college football team. And for them to say that this is probably their biggest team is saying something.
That's scary. Yeah.
It's scary. And they're huge. And they certainly have a lot of pieces. They've got the returning quarterback, which is a huge advantage. I look at them and I look at Legacy out in the West, and I think it's going to be between the rest of us for that 3-4 fighting playoff. In the East, I think it's going to be really interesting. I think you got a lot of teams. We opened with West Fargo. I know they were young last year. I had a lot of young kids. I think they're going to be quietly good.
Yeah.
I know people are talking about Cheyenne, and rightfully so. But I talked to Wayne Weirmeyer yesterday. If I had his football team, I told him I would just do slip and slides and have slushies until the guys Friday night at 7 o'clock we kick off. They are loaded.
They don't need to practice, is what you're saying? They're that good? They don't need to practice?
Why practice? Just go slip and slide, have a good time, and be down at 4:30, be on the golf course by 4:45.
See, I talked to him a couple weeks ago. He did not echo that sentiment. So
he's not going to tell you the truth. You want the truth, Dom. You know
I call you. That's exactly right on that.
Exactly right.
Your buddy Troy texted me. He says, ask Gibby if he's going no huddle this year.
Well, he's coming to our scrimmage on Friday. So he might be called. I asked him to call. He just call some plays. He's on. He told me he's going to be out for his nephew's wedding.
Yeah.
And so he says he's going to come to the scrimmage. So you can come call plays if you want to.
Here's a tough one before I let you go. You have coached some great quarterbacks, your son included. Best one. Who comes? Esley Thornton you coached. Which one? Will Madler comes to mind. You had some dynamite ones. Which one comes to mind? Like, boy, that was the ultimate winner. This guy, whatever we threw at him, he handled it.
I hope like heck my son's not listening to this, but Esley Thornton.
Yeah.
That kid was. Like I said, we've had some good ones, but when you say number one in my book, that he was the guy. And I think credit to him, he goes out to NDSU, and Coach Bull at the time came through and thanked me. He was on the way to Montana for a playoff game. He stops by Bismarck High School, and he says, I just want to stop and say thank you for Esley Thornton. I'm like, you got a game tomorrow, Coach. Because I know, he goes, I just want to stop by. And that's the way he was.
Yeah.
But I think it's a credit to him to lose the starting job to Carson Wentz, and he starts at linebacker. How many kids can do that in a Division I and a program like NDSU? And granted, they were just at the starting cusp of what they are now, but still, for him to switch to linebacker and become a starter and play well for them is unbelievable.
Yeah, I think it's fun. We're that far back. People forget how amazing an athlete he was, but he was just phenomenal.
Yep,
and
he really was.
He was one of the first two in the D1 era to stay home. He was going to be a Bison, and I remember that was when he committed. That was a big deal.
Yeah. Well, we don't have any Ashley Thorntons walking around right now. I mean, I'd love to say we got 5 or 6 of those kids. We don't.
You're still going to be good. You're going to be end the year. You're going to be 7-2, and we're going to be talking about going to the playoffs. So I appreciate the time as always, but it's great to catch up. Have a great start to the year. We'll talk during the season, okay?
Okay, Dom, appreciate it.
Good to see you, bud. There he goes.
Thanks
Mark Gibson joining us, Bismarck head football coach. They open up the season next week. They'll take on West Fargo. That game is out here August the 29th as we get rolling. Only one like Gibby to give it to us like that. Love it. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll wrap things up, get you ready for a busy Sports Tuesday. We got our first game of the week coming up tonight. We'll tell you all about it when Hot Mike wraps right after this. All right, wrapping things up here. We got a packed lineup of guests coming up here the next few days. I was just making sure we got this all squared away. Tomorrow, Guardsy will join us. Justin Guard, sideline reporter for KFAN for the Gophers. Give us our full Minnesota football preview. So that's going to be fun. Sean Callahan's going to join us also tomorrow for you Husker fans. We got numerous ones in the building because West Fargo Cheyenne's Cade Petchak may play for the Huskers at next week. He just got there, and apparently he's blowing the doors off for the Huskers. So Sean's going to give us the lowdown on that out of Husker football fall camp. That'll be tomorrow on the show. Also, Thursday, we mentioned we've got Mercer head football coach Mike Jacobs going to join us. The Bears play in the FCS kickoff game on Saturday. Fresno State head football coach, former Bison head football coach Matt Entz will join us on Thursday. Fresno plays also on Saturday against Kansas to open up the 2025 season. So next couple days, we are loaded with some really big-time guests. Excited about that, so make sure you're on top of that for us over the next few days. Really excited about that, what we got coming up. Football season's here. We're rolling out the big-time guests. And then Friday, we'll get you ready for the first night of high school football in the state. The big jamboree going out for Region 4 out in Mandan. We'll preview that. A bunch of 9-man schools are getting a chance to play at Starion Complex out in Mandan. We'll get you the details and check in on that on Friday's show. Looking forward to that. I've had a moratorium on this topic all day, but we should rip the lid off of it now. Email comes in on the Bison football uniforms. I've heard all white, all green, all yellow. How about all black? No, that there's... First off, there's got to be some sort of color in that. Did you say you don't want to be like the Jets? Is that what you just told me in my ear? Oh, well, the Jets did it too. And the black helmet back there has been banished back there because it's not good. I wasn't a fan of that. You don't want to do that. The all white will be sharp. I think Strecker made a couple of conceptual ones that, if we have time tomorrow, let's set aside some time on that. Kyle's had, there you go. Totally not just the Packers helmet with a new logo. That's funny. If that's what it looks like, now that one would be great. With the old snorty look, if that's what they do, people are gonna go crazy. That would be really, really sweet. Not just the Packers helmet with a new logo. How do you feel about that, Packers fan? You okay with that?
I mean, the head coach is a Packers fan, so it makes sense to go with the all white.
And I believe he has mentioned that to both of us. You've been in the earshot when he's talked about it. So
yeah,
that'd be cool.
They do already have, Under Armour already has new Snorty apparel out there.
Yeah, they do.
So it would behoove people maybe to go buy the white Snorty one. I'm just saying.
You know something we don't? Do you have inside intel you're hiding from us?
I'm not saying anything.
All right. Well, if that's what they do, that would be pretty darn cool. We'll see. We're going to find out. Home opener against SEMO. All right, let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. All right, Twins are back in action tonight. Who in the world? Oh, we got a game of the week first. Yes, I forgot. Davies and Cheyenne. Boys soccer to get us started tonight. Season is underway. 7 o'clock here on Extra out in South Fargo tonight for that one, for two of the better EDC boys soccer teams. That's coming up 7 o'clock tonight. Cullen Holt will have the call of that on WDAY Extra. Looking forward to another year of our Game of the Week coverage, not just with football. We've got soccer and volleyball on tap over the next 3 months. That'll be fun. Starts tonight. Twins play tonight against the Oakland A's. I'm still calling them Oakland even though they play in Sacramento. Joe Ryan pitches tonight, so there's a chance to see him. 6:30 on Twins TV. Lynx and the Liberty again at 6 o'clock. Good luck to the Sioux Falls Little Leaguers. They play tonight on ESPN. They got to win to keep going in Williamsport. Our thanks to Matt Larsen, to Justin Sell, to Mike McFeely, and Mark Gibson. If you missed any of the show, it was a good one. You can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Thanks so much for starting your day with us, everybody. Have a great Tuesday. See you back here tomorrow.